You live on TikTok yet?
No.
Okay.
That the
You are live on all the other platforms. I'm going to just check them real quick before we go.
yeah, but the Washington Post now said that it's legitimate. So a guy named Jonathan Turley, who I kind of routinely mentioned, and others have said they go, why are they coming out now? Because they're afraid that if he gets indicted, which many experts says he will,
And everybody was wrong.
well, then they're going to have to go back and tell their readers, why didn't you cover it in November? How did it become Russian disinformation based off what? And Leon Panetta and other former CIA directors, and Leon Panetta was one, was a very prominent Democrat who was Secretary of Defense, CIA director, chief of staff, has stated that it was Russian disinformation. So the question should ask Leon Panetta, what did you base it off of? I mean, either the emails and everything on the laptop was bullcrap, because the business partner Tony Bobolinsky was interviewed by the FBI. So if he's lying, he can be arrested for lying to the FBI. If he's talking about your character or falsifying documents and pictures, that's also a crime. And the other fact is, you can sue him for defamation of character because you're going to lose income over it.
You know what? I did have a question. We're not going to bring it up on the show, but okay, Newsom was doing a shitty job, so they recalled Newsom. Is there a way to recall a president? Can you do that?
No, you just impeach him.
You impeach, and then you got to go down the line of.
But see, the difference between
who becomes
state
president,
or it's different under state. As a president, it's high crimes and misdemeanors to impeach. They made the impeachment bar so hard.
You don't have to be so close on. I can hear you breathe.
it's probably my beard hair hitting the damn thing.
Yeah. But anyway.
But impeachment was they wanted, and Hamilton wrote.
You get 3 waters over there.
And do you know who? You know what the Federalist Papers?
Please.
I'm not trying to say you're ignorant. Do you know what the Federalist Papers were?
I do.
Okay, because a lot of people don't. I'm not trying to.
I heard of them.
Yeah, the Federalist Papers is written by Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay. Hamilton wrote the vast bulk of them. Well, in one Federalist paper, when it came to the impeachment, thank you, he wanted the impeachment to be so hard that the reason you had to impeach him, you had to get rid of him right then and there. You couldn't wait till an election.
Right.
So that's why they made the bar high crimes and misdemeanor. It had to be such an egregious offense that, and what the Democrats did was not high crimes and misdemeanor. You just let the election play out. Okay, but that said,
All right, go to TikTok.
okay, hold on.
That way Ray and I can jump on and start
Okay,
shifting this friggin'.
are you ready?
Oh yeah, it's 7:30. We're good.
Okay, hold on.
Well, we're not recording yet. We're just streaming. Which technically everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch just saw that.
Okay, well that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna go live.
Yeah, go live.
Okay, I'm gonna go live right now. You ready?
Let's see. I want to know how well you're doing. Because you've been gaining some followers, too. You gained about maybe 50 followers today.
Yeah.
You might want to post after this, because I haven't seen this number move lately. So just to get heads up. But you are live?
Okay, so I'm gonna go live right now.
Yeah, go live. Give them a quick heads up. What's going on?
Hey everybody, this is John at Ubaldi Reports. We're just about ready to go live for our weekly podcast that we're doing on TikTok, and it's streaming on all the other
TikTok.
Shut up. On our other platforms. So we're just about ready to go. I've got a couple people here. Obviously, my annoying sidekick or putz that he is, Joe Bitts. So just bear with us. When Joe gets his head out of his rumpus, then we'll do this.
I'm just waiting for you to go live on TikTok.
I am.
Or TikTok.
TikTok.
Are you ready?
Hold on 1 second.
We're just about there, so just bear with us.
So introduce you, me, Wounded, whatever, and then you just introduce him in the background kind of thing.
Okay.
We'll just bullshit for a couple minutes.
All right, we're getting ready.
All right, ready? 3, 2.
Hey, everybody, this is John at Ubaldi Reports, the podcast that provides fact, not fiction. We just provide the facts of what's going on the national and international issues that are affecting the country. Now, with me is my co-host and somewhat annoying co-host at times, Joe Bitts. So, how's it going? And then we also got one of our other partners in here is a gentleman named Ray, who is a former Marine. So we all got 3 veterans in here. So what's going on, Joe?
Ray's a gun expert, though. Ray loves guns. I mean, he's like if Tom Brady liked guns, he would be like that kind of guy.
Yeah, so if you have questions on gun issues, I guess, let us know, and we'll try to answer them on this TikTok.
Yeah, he knows it, except for the, we can kind of start this up is that I don't think maybe his age range is looking at the news as much as, say, like you kind of like dive into it. You probably read it from top to bottom on what you're looking, at what you're kind of with the article that's being written. I, on the other hand, I probably maybe breeze through like half of it, maybe even like a paragraph or two to kind of figure out, okay, where is this going? And so like last week, Ray kind of comes in and he goes, hey, do you hear they're shutting down Harry Potter World indefinitely, forever, like that. And I'm kind of like, that doesn't sound right. I'm kind of like, in the background, I'm like, okay, what did J.K. Rowling say? What's going on? Was there an accident or something like that?
That's true.
Yeah, and we immediately, look it up. And kind of what he caught as the title, there was a little bit more in depth in there where it was actually a pre-show to a ride that they were going to stop. A lot of people were kind of upset about it, but for whatever reason that got pushed up, and it almost seems like now that we're only...
Hold on. Something happened here.
Okay. Like you're not going live?
It's just tuned out. So let me get back again.
Do you need somebody a little bit younger over there?
Cancel. Let's go 1, 2, 3 again.
All right. We are starting the podcast all over again. So 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Sorry we had to do this. Something happened to my TikTok. Kicked off not being live. But again, this is John at Ubaldi Reports, providing fact, not fiction, on issues facing the country, whether internationally or nationally. With me is Joe Bitts, my co-host, and with us is also a gentleman named Ray, who is a big gun enthusiast, but he's also a former Marine, just like Joe. So sorry about that, guys. So, Joe, go flap your gums of what you were saying before.
Well, I think I've still been a podcast, but I'm just saying how there's like there's generations that they read less and less of what is actually going on.
Correct.
In media, and I think media kind of does that purposely.
Well, it's the media, but it's also political scientists or political consulting firms did that. I used to work at one, and they know who votes.
Mm-hmm.
They know what people are interested in, and as time goes on, especially in the electronic era, most people don't read. That's why that's why social media is so big.
Yeah.
Even on TikTok, the longest video is 3 minutes. Now, prior to this not working, you mentioned that I follow politics probably more than most people, which I do.
Yeah.
Now, it's a little hard for me because I work a 50-hour work week, but I'm still, any break I get, like I get a lunch break whenever I get one.
You look at politics like I look at my TikToks.
Yeah, I always looking at my news feeds, my event. And then when I get home, I'm going to Policy Center, think tanks. I'm watching. If someone like the cable news, and I'll be honest, I'll probably watch Fox more than anybody else. But when I do watch Fox and someone says something, I got to go look it up.
Yeah.
I got to verify what they said.
Because you're a good journalist and you do
Because I don't take somebody face value. If they say something, where did they get their information? And then when they interview individuals, I got to go. I look at their book. Like I just got a book on William Barr, who was the Attorney General for Donald Trump. But then there's another gentleman I got a book on. He's a foreign policy expert on counterinsurgency and the different issues with China and Russia and Iran. A guy named Seth G. Jones. So I got his book.
Yeah.
And I'm finishing reading a book called The Ledger by, and I met the guy. It's a retired Army lieutenant colonel in the Australian Army who was portrayed as his point person on counterinsurgency. I've read about 3 or 4 of his books.
Okay, so
and he talks about how did we fail in Afghanistan from the beginning to the end.
So if I did like less Fortnite and TikTok, I think we could probably get this podcast off the ground.
Yeah, there you go.
Because that's what I'm. That's all.
Well, but I mean, I give you credit, Joe. I mean, it is difficult. You got a family, you got a wife, 2 kids, you work full time. This is what you do. I mean, we're trying to get this off the ground so we can do this full time as our job.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal, and it's not easy, even for myself. I mean, I wish I could spend more time researching like I once did, but hey, you do what you got to do.
What about you, Ray? What do you do?
I do some mobile gunsmithing. I work at Tire Kingdom.
Well, I mean, other than that, he's talking about we're talking about work, but we kind of like, what's your side deals like? Do you do research on more guns, or do you look at gun manuals, how to break them? Or, I mean, what's your, I guess you would say maybe a hobby, or what is something kind of like, I don't want to say what John does is like a brainless or a mindless activity. He's still reading and absorbing, but that's something he enjoys doing. Cool. I hop on the computer or, Xbox, and I play this mindless game. Of course, there's like some thought and interaction going on in there, but it's a way to kind of put my brain on like,
So, I mean, other than video games,
okay,
which I feel like everybody seems to be playing one way or another, on their phone or PlayStation or whatever. My hobby is my job, and I love looking at guns. I love looking what I want next. The firearms out there today are, like Legos, so you can consistently change things up. So, I mean, that's what I even do on my off time. And hopefully, with the knowledge that I gain, and even people who are older that I look up to, I hope to bring a really good enough business to the state of Florida.
So, I kind of figured it out this weekend, but you ever been to IKEA?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just like a bunch of, I don't want to say it's garbage. It's just, I would think it's like maybe.
It's cheaper.
Well, I wouldn't even say cheap. It's a valued furniture because you're kind of it's like, starter furniture.
Well, it's starter furniture if you have an apartment.
Yeah.
Or if you're on a budget, you got some good deals at IKEA.
That's the adult Legos, I believe.
Well, but here's the thing. Yeah, it's adult Legos, but I got a friend of mine who swears by IKEA, and he goes, you just got to understand IKEA, how to put this thing together. Me, I can't even build a bookshelf without screwing it up. I'm not mechanical. I don't have that three-dimensional look, how to change I just don't.
I don't think I was like that at first either until I actually hung my first flat screen TV.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. And it was crazy because you had to put like these wall mounts in there, and then you're trusting this piece of metal that's like maybe like an inch or 2 away from your wall, and you're trusting it to hold this anywhere between 30 to 50 pound television.
Correct.
And like there I was, and I put it in there, and I made sure everything was level, everything was tight, and I put it on there, and I didn't want to let go of it. I did not want to take my hands off this thing because I'm like, it's going to fall. It's going to fall. It's going to fall. And then I kind of just like took almost like that blind leap back where I just took a step back, and I'm looking at it, in like friggin' amazement because there is this flat screen TV and it's just hanging there and there's nothing holding it up. There's
Well,
like
see,
no, there's
but
no
Joe,
base.
I wouldn't even attempt it to do that.
But I think that's what you need. You need to have like your almost like your or an epiphany moment where you're actually done something mechanical or put
Well,
something
no, but
together
for
by
me,
yourself and you kind of step
know.
back. You're like, oh, I did that.
Yeah, there's some things I've done, but for me, it's because I'm dyslexic. I
Yeah.
happen to have the trifecta. I'm dyslexic in math, English, and writing.
Good for you. There's only pictures in IKEA.
But even certain things, if it's not, I just don't have that dimensional to fix that. My two brothers are great at fixing things, especially one. My dad was great. He could fix anything. And I think it bothered him that he had a son who couldn't put anything together. And I think I got a good grade in my shop class in high school because I think the teacher was afraid I was going to get my ass whooped if I got home with anything less than a stellar grade.
So, for Christmas, Cash is the normal kid. We get him Legos, Transformers, Godzilla, Star Wars, whatever. And he's really kind of, he likes. Okay, so I play with Legos too. I'm a grown ass man. I still put Legos together.
Trust me, Joe does play with his Legos.
And he always bothered me. He's like, "Hey, can I play with this? Can I use this?" Like, yeah, be careful. And he'd take it, he'd use it for a little bit, he'd put it back. And he kept on doing this over and over again. And I was like, you know what? He keeps on using. He wants to use mine, so might as well buy him one for Christmas. And I bought him one for Christmas. Didn't touch the thing. He's like, "Oh, it's too hard. It's too difficult. I mean, you should have got one that's a little bit less, complicated for me." He's 12 years old. He put together like a Lego Millennium Falcon all by himself. I just kind of helped him start it up. And there's a Lego store, so we go to the Lego store. He's like, "Oh, I want some Legos."
Well, let me ask you this.
Hold on. Well, he's like, "I want some Legos." I'm like, "I'm not getting you Legos. Why would I get you Legos? You have a whole box full of Legos, that you haven't even opened yet." And I kind of had to ride him a little bit. But here he goes, with that whole mechanical aspect, is like he put it together himself because he's like, I'm like, "Hey, look, if you want me to get you some more stuff, I'm not going to do it if you still have stuff you still haven't used right there." So, in less than 2 hours, he's like, "Yeah, I'm almost done. Can I stay up just a little bit past my bedtime?" And he finished the damn thing. So, I mean, I think you're kind of like, maybe we should start you off with Legos. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This kind of segues into what the whole thing was that we were going to talk about for tonight's TikTok. Since you we'll go back to Christmas. Was Christmas expensive for you this year? I mean, considering prices because the reason I was asking this, with inflation hitting the American families very hard, especially recently with higher energy prices, utility costs, and gas prices. Was Christmas expensive? Because inflation was pretty high over Christmas.
I'm not really noticing it. I don't know why. I do understand.
Are you noticing it now?
Yes, but only through gas.
What about food and everything?
Meat. I've noticed.
Yeah,
meat.
I haven't bought meat in a while. I mean, because what I did is I bought a lot of stuff and I kind of vacuum sealed it and I kind of.
Okay. Well, what about you've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
You got Skylar, who's 5?
Well, maybe when we've gone out, kind of on certain things. Erin's noticed it because when she does little shopping here and there for the kids and kind of brings it back. Even to the point where we went to go get gift cards or a Visa gift card for going to a birthday party. They charged us a $7 fee just to activate that card.
Wow.
On top of how much money we put on top of that card. I am kind of noticing it a little bit through some prices, but I guess maybe I'm
okay, you've got 2 kids. Well, 3 kids. You got an older daughter who's in college. Okay, but then you got your son who's 10?
12.
12. Okay, you already said that, 12. And then Skylar's what, 5, 6 years old?
Yes.
Okay. Do your kids drink a lot of milk?
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed, and it all depends. I'm single and I don't have any kids, so things I buy may not be what families buy. But the one thing I do buy a lot of, because I try to stay in shape, I get a lot of protein through eggs. The egg section looks like you're shopping in Russia. It's like, you ever heard of chickens?
Yeah.
I mean, there's really, every time I go in there to get eggs, there's always a shortage of some type of eggs.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm not noticing it to a certain point because my wife, she's working. She's making a very decent income bringing it into the house. I just recently got a raise through my job, so I'm making more this year than I was last year. I don't know if it really kind of met the price of inflation, but our financial situations, yours and I's, and even Ray's, they're a little bit different, and we're kind of managing them a little bit differently. So I would think someone that's more acute to their budget, say like you would notice this going up and down, where like
that's a good point, because I notice it I'm staying with a friend house, so I can save some money.
Mm-hmm.
Rent is I'm really conscious about rent,
mm-hmm.
because rent has gone up in this area, and I'm sure Ray can attest to that.
Yes.
So
I am paying $2,000 over at my apartment right now. That used to be probably $1,400.
How many bedrooms?
It's a 2-bed, 2-bath.
Okay. I mean,
1,200 square
I'm
feet.
paying. I'm paying about. I don't know. I mean, I don't like putting my business out there when it comes to a mortgage, but I'm not paying that. I'm paying a lot less.
And just for our listeners' sake, I will beat the crap out of Joe once we're done with this podcast. But go on.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, it baffles me how the banks work, because they're more likely able. They want you to they don't want to put you in a spot or a situation where you can buy a house and have this much versus an apartment and pay like that much. I mean, people are going to be starting to buy houses here in the next couple of years when there's more houses in the area, and it's going to be a relief to them because they'll be paying so much less.
Well, no, a friend of mine was paying. I was paying a lot more for. He was paying, I think, $1,200 for his mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
My rent at the time was $1,700. He goes, and he had a house.
But it's also where you like living in a certain area.
Well, yeah, but true. But then you've got to factor in, if you live further out, then you have to drive into work, because most of the jobs are into the core of the city. And now you've got, with gas prices. Now, if you go to the supermarket, that's about the only time you see meat prices, egg prices, milk section, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So
how many? Okay, but hold on.
Yeah.
How many times when I drove here?
Yeah.
I passed about 8, 9 gas stations. So when I go to work, I pass 3 or 4 gas stations. So I see, like one day I left, it was $4.01 a gallon. Then I said when I come home, it's $4.19 a gallon.
Yeah.
So you see the cost of fuel just spike.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of angers you. And then everything else goes up. Like I went shopping the other day on Sunday.
Okay.
And egg section was thin. The certain items I wanted to get, they were out of stock.
You go to the Publix?
Publix. It was a grocery store.
All right.
For those who were outside of the South.
Well, I mean, I think I know what Publix you go to, and that's there. I would think it's difficult getting food in there. Not only that, is that, when it comes to actually shopping now, you are competing with these shipped. You're competing with these Instacarts, the people that get the groceries, and I mean, you're kind of fighting them like in the morning just to get something, and by the time you're there, all the supplies are gone.
No, but okay, but the only thing I would fight back on that. Grocery stores are aware of that. They understand. They go by volume. So when something's pulled off, their inventory tells them how much they should stock up so they can keep things stocked on the shelves. It's not like they did the old days where you did inventory by pencil and paper. Nowadays, everything is electronic, so when something's pulled off, they know, hey, we got to order this. It's just like I work at a restaurant. When we pull our supplies off, we look at everything. Oh, we got 3. We need to order more. So everything is done electronically now.
So wait, but okay, where you work, they gauge their gauge is this is what we did last year this week. So this is we have to match it.
Well, no, it's not they look back a year ago. They look at, like as an example, how much salads we should make. They knock out the highest end and the lowest end, and they go right into the middle.
Okay.
So they know how much product to make for a given day.
Okay.
So they're not looking a year ago. They may factor in what we sold last year, but they're looking at what they did last week and the week before last.
Okay, because I'm thinking maybe sometime I would think some businesses do that, and you're looking at maybe a super or grocery store that is working with COVID numbers still, and then that's why it's low because they're like, well, last year we did this, we bought all this, and it went bad because not enough people bought it.
Well, it's not that they look at COVID numbers; they also look at weekly numbers, daily numbers. Would they know when things go off the shelf, we got to gear up. Now, the only thing they fudge a little bit is when it comes to the holidays. This is where they're going to look at, like Christmas. Like for a grocery store, there's certain holidays are big shopping seasons. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, because of the New Year's holiday celebrating. Then during the summer months, you've got Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, and then you got in between that. But they're looking at their numbers when things get pulled off. And let's say things are moving rapidly, their computer generation of what they have will tell them we need to order more.
Okay.
So everything is different now. Everything is so much electronically driven that they can really dial in how much they need. But the problem they're getting at is supply chain disruption. A lot of the stuff we're buying, like our paper products, come from China.
So before we go, okay, you know the no hitting rule, like if there's like a perfect game or a no hitting situation, you don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm wondering if realtors and lenders are kind of treating it the same way. Like there's a possibility, maybe even a strong possibility of another housing market crash.
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
Okay, but if you ask a realtor or a lender, they're like, "Oh, things are good, things are great. We don't, we're not having to worry about anything." Is that just them saying it's probably going to happen, but we don't want to talk about it, kind of thing like that?
But that's their business. Why would they want to say a crash is coming? Because that would scare away potential buyers.
Yeah, but it could probably. Okay, actually, no, that makes perfect sense. Okay, because I see it's going to happen. I mean, I think like for you, for Ray, if you guys would buy a house, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, I'd probably smack the both of you, because now is not the time. Because I think when everything kind of rights itself, whether it's next year, 3-4 years down the line, what's going to happen is people are all of a sudden going to realize I'm paying way too much for way too little house. And they're just going to, and what are they going to do? What would you do if you're paying too much for, say you got a 2-bedroom house. Okay. You spent, $400,000 on, and the bank's like, come on, time to pay up. And you and Nicole are looking around. You're like, this isn't worth it, and you're just going to walk right out.
That's the reason why we made the choice we made.
Yeah,
was to actually take an apartment over buying a house, because when we talked to our realtor, it was pretty straightforward. It was, how much are we going to lose off of this house if we buy it right now? And it was anywhere between $75,000 to $100,000 right off the top.
Well, I mean, I'm the same way. I want to be able to pay off my debts first and get. I'm not ready. I don't have the income level to support a house. But the crux of the issue with this podcast is with the high level of inflation. Now, Friday, the unemployment numbers come out, and they'll also show wages have gone up. But what they've done is wages have artificially gone up, meaning companies have to pay more to retain their workers or to bring in workers. So their profit margins are coming down. And then at the same time, let's say like last month for the month of February,
Okay.
inflation went up about 7.9%, almost 8%.
Mhm.
Then a week after that for February, the producer price index, this is all the goods that go into making a product, that jumped 10%. And
If it goes up, it's bad?
well, yeah, because that means it's costing more to make that one particular item. Like I talked to the general manager of the restaurant I work at last week, yesterday, and I was asking him some questions about the prices. Like I buy a lot of eggs, like I said.
Yeah.
And I go, have your egg prices gone up? And he looked at me like, hell yeah.
So
Everything.
next time you need eggs, we'll go to Costco.
Okay, but I mean, but the point is, egg prices have gone up.
Yeah.
His utility cost for the restaurant is $10,000 per month.
Mm-hmm.
That's far higher than it was a year ago. And 2-3 years ago, it was much lower.
And their margins are shrinking by the second,
So
too.
now he just told me that, just so you know, if you shop there or eat there, next week, he didn't say the exact date, they're raising their prices because the company was eating the cost of the rising cost. They were
Wait, what restaurant?
Chick-fil-A.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Chick-fil-A is no different than anybody else.
Yeah.
I get my protein powder at a local.
But are they going to charge like an inflation fee or some crap like
but
that?
they're gonna raise their fee. I don't know what the percentage is, but they're gonna raise their prices. Chick-fil-A, the company as a whole, was eating the cost of the rising cost of everything they were purchasing and providing to the consumer. But they can't do that forever. No business can.
Are they doing it just to keep their head above water? Or, I mean, I like to call this a Disney theory where every time Disney tickets go up, people are like, oh, Disney's getting money hungry. They want more money, blah, blah, blah. No. Disney puts tickets higher because they want less people to come in
Yeah, but
there.
that's a different.
Is it the same thing with Chick-fil-A where they're increasing the prices so they get less people to consume?
No, it's a business thing. If your energy costs go up, your labor costs have gone up, your paper products have gone up. Every supplier that comes in and drops off product, they pay a surcharge because of rising energy costs.
Okay, with the president saying that there's a food shortage or there's going to be a food shortage, is it another way of him saying also, hey, food's going to get more expensive because there's a food shortage kind of thing? Is that why he's saying that?
No, he's just trying to spin it away from blaming himself. Now, the president wasn't solely responsible for supply chain shortages, energy crisis, or inflation. And before I get beat up on over that, what I mean is when the economy shut down, I mean, we were completely shut down.
Yeah.
And then when we ramped up, demand shot up far higher than supply could keep pace.
Mm-hmm.
So going into his presidency, inflation was starting to be a problem. So what he did is he stimulated the demand side. Now, when everything was shut down, there was no places to go. Like you like to go to Disney.
Yeah.
You couldn't go to Disney because everything was shut down.
Yeah.
You couldn't go on vacation because each state had their own coronavirus rules and regulation. So everybody held on to their money. When the economy opened up, now they had all this money, and the savings rate for the country took off.
Mm-hmm.
It was the highest level ever, ever recorded. Okay, so then Joe Biden gets into office, and we're starting to have a problem with supply chain. We're starting to have a problem with inflation. So what does he do? He passes the American Rescue Plan. So what that did, it flooded more money into the economy. So basically you have more money chasing fewer goods, driving the price up.
How has there? Okay, the first time I heard stimulus was with Bush, and it kind of kept on going up. And then there was even a stimulus in the Trump administration. But has the stimulus packages ever actually worked?
No.
Not a single one.
Ukraine got more money than we did.
Well, because
Well,
okay, hold on.
That's a different issue.
Yeah, well,
the reason I said it doesn't work because you're stimulating it from the government side. You're not solving the problem of why. Like when Bush did the first stimulus in the spring, early summer of 2008. What did you do with it? Most people just held on to it. It didn't stimulate the economy. Then Obama did the same thing. Now, what Trump did, the economy was flat on its back because of this coronavirus. So you had to do something. So we pumped in about $6 trillion total.
Inflation is a little bit on him as well.
No, it belongs to a little bit on.
Okay.
But the problem is, as soon as Biden came in, he stimulated on the demand side and not fix the supply side problems. What I mean by that, before you chime in, Larry Summers, who was a Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton and a senior economic advisor to Barack Obama, stated, you shouldn't pass the American Rescue Plan that passed in March of last year.
Okay.
What he suggested, if you're going to spend money, spend it on getting the vaccines out, fixing the supply chain disruption, and do it that way. But what the President Biden did, he just gave everybody this money.
So the idea of a stimulus, how it should actually work, is that I give Ray $1,000, and Ray, instead of him keeping that $1,000, he is supposed to go out and spend that $1,000 on goods and services. Is that how they really want it to work?
That's how they want it, but it never works like that.
So maybe instead of giving them a check or putting money into their bank, why don't they just give them, I don't know, Amazon gift cards or Walmart gift cards
But Joe, the problem with this, you're not fixing the problem. We have a supply chain disruption, and what we're finding out, this globalization where we're shipping jobs over to Mexico or shipping jobs basically to China. What we're not doing is we're thinking about, well, we're tied to China. So like when the early days of the pandemic, China stopped all shipment of protective gear because everything was made in China. All our medicines are made in China. Most of our, if you look at anything, energy jobs instead of relying on others.
Okay. So good talk.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is facing them. Families are facing this. I'm facing this. It's not like I'm in a vacuum. I'm working another job at a restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because it is a little bit different from between you and I, but I haven't used a credit card in 3 years. Erin only uses the way she uses her is she'll buy something and she'll pay it off, but it's just it's a little bit of a hack for her because she's just gaining points. So she'll pay off that much money before the interest even hits
No,
on
I
it.
was the same way.
Yeah.
I would use my
So-
debit card more than my credit card. But the problem is, now that because of all the things that happen beyond my control,
Yeah, but know what is a good thing to do when you're going out is at the end of the meal, even Ray, we look at them and be like, hey, you got a military discount?
oh yeah, but see, but
You know,
but
and that takes off 10%.
But the last point before we end this,
Yeah.
everybody I work with, as soon as we talk about Ukraine, this is the president wants to blame Putin for high energy, high inflation. No, as soon as you say Ukraine or Putin, it pivots.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, I'm paying higher prices for gas. I'm worried about higher food costs. I'm worried about higher rent costs.
Yeah.
That's what the employees talk about. They don't talk about this other stuff, and they blame Joe Biden. Whether that's correct or not, they blame Joe Biden for high energy and high inflation.
So we were kind of talking about this off camera. We're going to talk about maybe this a little bit more next week as it progresses, because I think it's going to be up topic. Is there going to be a lot? Was it in about maybe like a week or so? Is there going to be a lot of buyer's remorse on the whole Hunter Biden, Joe Biden kind of thing because of what's going on right now, and that almost 17% of the people that voted for Joe Biden would not have voted for Joe Biden had there been more evidence, or they would
Well, what's going to happen is this. The New York Times last week and now the Washington Post today
and CNN
authenticated the laptop. So now what they're doing, there's speculation. The reason they're doing this is they have to get ahead because Hunter Biden is being investigated by the FBI and others for getting this money from China and not paying whatever taxes he wants on that.
Yeah.
So, but see, right now no one's talking about it because it's still kind of bubbling up.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say he's indicted, then they've got to explain, well, why didn't you cover this when it first came out? When you had, like, when it made it to the presidential debate between Biden and Trump, and Biden said, we had 50 intelligence officials, some were CIA directors, said this was Russian disinformation.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're finding out it wasn't Russian, it was fact.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, like Leon Panetta, who was a Secretary of Defense under Obama, CIA director under Obama, question I would ask him, you said it was Russian disinformation based off what? What evidence did you see to base it off Russian disinformation?
Yeah, based on getting Trump out of office. That was their
Okay, but here's this point before we move it on to next week. The New York Post reported it in October of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
All the tech companies, Facebook, Twitter, everybody squashed that story.
Yeah.
Every media squashed it. The president of CNN told his news section, you will not cover this story.
Yeah.
Now it's a story, so they're going to have to go back and explain why they didn't cover it. It's not going to look good for the media.
So, well, everybody, John, how do people get a hold of us if they have any information or questions?
You can go to ubaldireports@gmail.com, ubaldireports@gmail.com, or you can check us out definitely on TikTok. And I'd like to thank all the listeners and viewers who view my TikTok. We're doing really well. We did one. We got 33,000 views. I did another one, 1,200. The one I just recently did, it's up over 3,000. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, keep it up.
I want to thank Heroes Media Group for putting us out on their network. So you could also check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and just type in Ubaldi Reports.
And we are live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and always on TikTok. So everybody have a good day.
And keep listening to Ubaldi Reports.